I am a connoisseur of waifus. That's really what it is. That's why I play gacha games. But the thing of it is that I also like cute little animals. Yes, that's right. And I think that the combination of Topaz and Numby here is actually pretty sick. Granted, I will say, you know, when it comes to the animations, I felt like there was a little bit of laziness since, you know, really it should be about Topaz and it looks like it's mainly about Numby, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about how you should build your Topaz and Numby. Now, of course, this means ascending from level 1 to level 80, and of course, also building them in regards to their traces, their relics, and all that other stuff. So if you like the content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell to be notified of when the next Honkai Star Rail video comes out. Of course, y'all, I am also sponsored by the ever wonderful waifu cups, aka Gamer Subs, which is that gluten-free, keto-friendly energy drink, or you could get the caffeine-free version. It's a lot better for you than most energy drinks. And on top of that, we just released teas. Yes, that's right. We have regular teas, you know, the stuff that you put in the little cup as it heats up and then you could drink tea either before bed or just at random. Yes, we have those teas. So make sure to check out the link down below to get yourself some. But without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Topaz and Numby, although it's mainly about that Topaz, but you're mainly going to see that Numby. That's how it is. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about it. So Topaz and Numby are a part of the Hunt Path and of course part of the Fire Element. So there will be 2 Fire Element characters that come out in part 2. So that's pretty dope. Now, of course, we got to remember our rule of 3s when we're leveling up these characters. Now, first things first, rule number 1 with the, well, rule number 1 to the number, you got what I'm trying to say here. So we got the Silvermane badge here. We also have the Silvermane insignia followed by the Silvermane medal. Now, again, as I just said with the rule of 3s, you got to remember that 3 of these badges are going to make a insignia and 3 of these insignias are going to make a medal. Now, these come from enemies in the overworld. Looks like they come from the Silvermane guard section or on Jarlios. You get what I'm saying. Where we meet, you know, Bronya and all that stuff. But you go over there and you're going to fight these enemies for the Silvermane guards. Pretty easy to understand, pretty simple. But you're going to need 15 of these Silvermane badges, 15 of the Silvermane insignias, and 15 of the Silvermane medals. And that's just to ascend from level 1 to level 80 overall. But I digress. Let's go ahead and also talk about what you're going to need here. The Searing Steel Blade. These come from the Stagnant Shadows that come out, you know, every update, and this is going to be part of the new one. You're going to need a grand total of 65 of these Searing Steel Blades. Now, you get 5 per run at max level with 30, you know, Trailblaze power, so it's pretty easy to understand, you know, what you're, how much you're going to need in general. I feel like the grinding for these Stagnant Shadows are a lot easier than grinding bosses in Genshin Impact, let's just say that. But with 5 each, you're going to need a grand total of, let's see, or not grand total, but you're going to need so many runs. I think it's like 13. You're going to need 13 runs of the Searing Steel Blade, and you can do 8 runs a day. So you can pretty much get it done in a day and a half. Pretty simple, but I digress. Now let's go ahead and move on to the trace materials here. As you can see, we got more of these badges, more of the insignias, and of course, more of the medals for the Silvermane guards. You're gonna need now a grand total between Ascension and, or let's go ahead and talk about traces in general. You're gonna need 41 of the badges here. You're going to need 56 of the insignias and 58 of the medals, with a grand total being between both Ascending and trace materials. You're gonna need 56 of the badges. You're going to need 71 of the insignias, and of course, about 73 of the medals here. So again, fight the Silvermane guards, beat them up a lot, and you'll have enough. Again, rules of 3s, badges, insignias, medals. Pretty simple. Now, of course, we're also going to need Hunt Path materials precisely with the calyxes that are, you know, really good for you. You can do about 6 runs at a time with 10 of your Trailblaze power used at once, and you're going to need 18 of the Arrow of the Beast Hunter. You're going to need Arrow of the Demon Slayers as well. You're going to need about 69 of those. Giggity. And you're going to need 139 of the Arrow of the Star Chaser. Now, of course, again, remember your rules of 3. The Beast Hunter, you're going to need 3 of those to make a Demon Slayer, and 3 of the Demon Slayers to make the Star Chaser. Now, of course, you're also going to need Regret of Infinite Ochema. Wow, it's crazy how every single character we get uses these Fantilia, materials. Now, of course, if you don't know, Fantilia is the new world boss that you could battle 3 times a week to get 3 on each run of these Regret of Infinite Ochemas. Now, that means that you're going to have to do 1 week plus an extra one after the week is over. You're also going to need 8 tracks of destiny, as you see here, which is pretty standard. We get this from almost every single event. We get multiple from every single event, and also we get it from Simulated Universe, so make sure you're doing your runs. And then finally, you're going to need about 3.3 million credits in total between Ascension and, of course, your traces. So this is pretty standard grind. It's what we always see with every single 5-star, or every single 4-star has a little bit less, but just remember that's how it works. Now, of course, let's talk about her kit, because I feel like her kit is actually a lot different than most characters, especially on the hunt path. So let's go and talk about it. The difficulty paying skill right here, which is a single target. The hunt path is usually single target DPS in the first place. Energy regeneration at 30 with a weakness break of 60 to a single target. Inflicts a single target enemy with the proof of depth status. Increases the damage it takes from the follow-up attacks by 62.5%. Proof of depth only takes effect on the most recent target it is applied to. If there are no enemies inflicted with proof of death on the field when an ally's turn starts, and when the ally takes action, Topaz will inflict a random enemy with proof of death. Numby deals fire damage equal to 187.5% of Topaz's attack to the target. Using the skill to deal damage is considered as launching a follow-up attack. Now, of course, this goes into the ultimate right here, Turn of Profit. Numby enters the Windfall Bonanza state, and its damage multiplier increases by 187.5%, and crit damage increased by 31.25%. Also, when enemies with proof of depth are hit by an ally's basic attack, skill, or ultimate, Numby's action is advanced forward by 50%. Numby exits the Windfall Bonanza state after using 2 attacks. This includes regular attacks and your skill. Now, of course, you could also boost this up with the trace that you're going to be leveling up, Stonk's Market. After Numby uses an attack while in the Windfall Bonanza state, Topaz additionally regenerates 10 energy, which is crucial because you're going to gain 5 energy back from the ultimate in general, and if you can gain an extra 10 after getting that trace ascension, that's 15. That's perfect. So make sure that you're going about that, because it's definitely worth it. Getting your energy regeneration up is always a fantastic thing to be able to use your ultimate consistently. Now, of course, let's go into the actual talent called Trotter Market. Trotter Market has a weakness break of 60, and you don't get any regeneration from it. But let's go ahead and talk about what it does. Summons Numby at the start of battle. Numby has 80 speed by default. When taking action, Numby launches follow-up attacks on a single enemy target afflicted by proof of depth, dealing fire damage equal to 187.5% of Topaz's attack. Pretty standard, we already kind of know that. When enemies afflicted with point of depth receive an ally's follow-up attacks, Numby's action is advance forward by 50%. This action forward effect cannot be triggered during Numby's own turn. When Topaz is down, Numby disappears. Pretty easy. Now, of course, we also have the trace right here, Financial Turmoil. Increases Topaz and Numby's damage dealt to enemy targets with fire weakness by 15%. So if you're attacking a enemy that's weak to fire, you're gaining that extra 50% of damage, and that works pretty well. Now, of course, we get into the technique here, the Explicit Subsidy. Now, this one summons Numby when Topaz enters the overworld. Numby will automatically search for basic treasures and trotters within a set radius, which is pretty dang dope, because I have a hard time finding treasure, and in all honesty, I just look up a map. So having Topaz and Numby on my team probably is a better option. Using her technique will regenerate 60 energy to Topaz after Numby's first attack in the next battle. If Topaz is still in the team after using her technique and defeating overworld enemies, a small bonus amount of credits will be added to the earned credits. If Topaz is still a maximum of 10,000 bonus credits can be received per calendar day. So you get an extra 10,000 every day of, just in general at reset. So I think that's pretty dope. Like, you gain an extra 10,000 credits, which Credits are in short supply, in my personal opinion, in regards to actually awakening characters. So pretty standard, or not pretty standard, pretty useful. After using your technique in defeating enemies in Simulated Universe, additionally receive a small amount of cosmic fragments and a small chance to obtain 1 curio. So if you're looking to get your curios completed, or your curio index, however you want to call it, this is probably the best bet for you, because she will give you a random curio at all times. So that's, or not at all times, has a chance to give you the curio. So that's pretty freaking sick. Now, of course, after looking at this, how should you build your Topaz and Numby? Now, of course, let's go ahead and talk about the light cones first. We have her light cone, the Worrisome Blissful. Increases the wearer's crit rate by 18% and their follow-up attacks damage by 30%. After the wearer uses a follow-up attack, apply the Tarn, Tarn, dummy. Tame state to the target, stacking up to 2 stacks. When allies hit enemy targets under the tame state, every tame stack increases the crit damage dealt by 12%. That's pretty dope. You can stack it up to 2 times and get an extra 24% crit damage. You're getting 18% crit rate right out the gate. You're increasing your follow-up attack damage by 30%, which works because that's how Topaz and Numby are, and you're also gaining up to 24% extra crit damage. That's a win, in my personal opinion. If you want to go more free to play, you can go for the cruising in the Stellar Sea. Increases the wearer's crit rate by 8% and increases the crit rate against enemies with HP less than or equal to 50% by an extra 8%, which means you're going up to 16. When the wearer defeats an enemy, the attack is increased by 20% for 2 turns. So of course, you're wanting to make sure that you get that high attack percentage, because you're going to need it in general to boost up your just damage overall. And because Topaz is basing most of the, actual output off for attack percentage, makes the most sense. Swordplay is the first 4-star we're going to be talking about today. For each time the wearer hits the same target, damage dealt increased by 8%, stacking up to 5 times. This effect will be dispelled when the wearer changes targets, or honestly when the enemy is down. So think about this, 8 times 5, right? That's an extra 40% damage dealt in general. Now, of course, most enemies will not stay on the field for that long, to be honest, if you're attacking so much. But this could work in boss battles. Remember, Simulated Universe has a lot of stacked enemies at level 80, so this could be up to your benefit, in all honesty. And then, of course, the last 4-star that we want to talk about is Only Silence Remains. Increases the wearer's attack by 16%. If there are 2 or fewer enemies on the field, increases the wearer's crit rate by 12%. Honestly, if I'm looking at the 4 stars, I would probably pick Swordplay over that, because yeah, you're gaining the 16% attack, but you're really focused on like getting 2 or fewer enemies, and that's very niche. I think that Swordplay has a lot more bang for your buck in this there we go, in this regard, only because of the fact that you're increasing the overall damage dealt. Now, of course, let's talk about relic sets here, because in the last video we talked about Gwynnifin not wanting to rock 2-piece, but 2 pieces actually work pretty well here. And I honestly think that you should either rock a 2-piece Firesmith, 2-piece Musketeer, or a 2-piece Firesmith with a 2-piece Messenger traversing, I think it's Messengers traversing, yeah, Hackerspace. I don't know why I always forget that one. But the 2-piece here increases fire damage dealt by 10%. Now, you could run a 4-piece. I'm not saying you can't. 4-piece, increase the wearer's skill damage by 12%. After unleashing the ultimate, increases the wearer's fire damage by 12% for the next attack. Does work out really, really well for Topaz and Numby, but I would say the 2 pieces work really, really well. I would say rocking a 4-piece Firesmith of Lava is probably your 3rd best set. Now, your first best set would probably be your Firesmith 2-piece with Musketeer, being an increase of attack by 12% because of Topaz actually gaining a lot of benefit from a high attack percentage. Now, of course, the other set, which is your 2nd best set probably, is Firesmith of Lava Forge with Messenger traversing Hackerspace, with the 2-piece being speed increased by 6%. You want your speed up there to make sure that you can actually continuously give those attacks off. Now, of course, that paired with this other 2-piece, the Space Sealing Station, which is your orb and your, little chain, Two-piece increases the wearer's attack by 12%, and when the wearer's speed reaches 120% or higher, the wearer's attack increases by an extra 12%, which makes sense because attack and speed are going to be your main attributes outside of crit rate and crit damage. So if we're looking at what attributes or relic stats you should focus on: crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, speed, and then break effect. Pretty standard for a hunt character, to be honest. So I would definitely say that if you're gonna rock the two pieces, you can rock two-piece Firesmith and do two-piece Musketeer, just so that way you get that extra attack percentage, and then focus on getting as much speed as you can to really gain that benefit of the Space Sealing Station. So overall, Topaz and Numby is a very peculiar character. I'm very surprised at what they did with them in regards to the attacks, but overall their kit seems pretty decent. I haven't actually seen the amount of damage that they could do yet, but I'm hoping to very, very soon. But yeah, it looks like it's a fun character in general, especially with Numby. I can't wait to try them out. Now, of course, everybody, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed what we talked about today. Also, let me know if you guys enjoyed these build guides. But anyways, y'all, that's going to be it. Love you all to death. And as always, we will catch you all in the next video. Please take care and be safe, everybody.